if they make me blemish my record, you think anybody think the slander that this man over here gives me with the Jets or something? Man, listen, I got about 16 more weeks of.
When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying. Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right, let's move on to Sunday Night Football, a battle of winless teams. The 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs are heading to New York to face the 0-2 Giants. The Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites, while the projected total is 44.5. That means Vegas is telling us that the Chiefs will score 25, while the Giants score 19.5. Mike Steph, what do you think about this game? Who you got?
I will start with the Chiefs. After back-to-back losses against the Chargers and the Eagles, Kansas City has started 0-2 for the first time since 2014. And for the first time ever in the Patrick Mahomes era. Yes. Through 2 weeks, Patrick Mahomes has completed only 58.8% of his passes for 445 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, at 82.4 passer rating. He has also been forced to lead the team in rushing with 123 yards on 13 carries, including 66 yards this past week in a rushing touchdown against the aforementioned Philadelphia Eagles. Like, you have Kareem Hunt still, you have Isaiah Pacheco still, and yet Patrick Mahomes has been forced into postseason mode because a lot of times the only time you really see Patrick Mahomes scrambling 4 yards and gaining rushing yards is in the postseason when he's like, all right, I got to get these points. First 2 weeks, he's leading the team in rushing. Not a good sign. But for all his exertions, the offense, like I said, has not topped 21 points in either game. Now, since 1990, only 12.2 teams starting at 0-2 have reached the postseason. So it looks like the stack is decked against them. Side note concerning the Chiefs. Before last weekend's kickoff, several Chief players, led by tight end Travis Kelce, were seen wearing free 4 T-shirts in support of suspended wide receiver Rashee Rice. The 25-year-old is currently serving a league suspension after pleading guilty to felony charges tied to a reckless highway crash this offseason. The gesture immediately ignited controversy amongst the NFL crowd, fan base, and so forth, with many calling it insensitive to those injured in the incident. Now, Coach Andy Reid, no stranger to controversial takes himself or controversy surrounding him and his family, said this: I know these guys, they love Rashee, and they feel for him sitting out there. It's nothing more than that. They love the kid, and they want him to feel like he's still part of the team. Look, there's ways to let him feel like he's part of the team instead of saying free, like he's being persecuted for something going against the state. Dude committed a crime. He's not in jail. He's just missing games. So what are you talking about? Free 4, free Rashee. He should be counting his lucky stars. He still has a career to go back to. Who was the guy from the Raiders? Ruggs? That had the fatal car accident? Like, I get it. Sometimes, and I hate to go on this tangent, but sometimes millionaires, sports athletes have to think outside the bubble and think about the real world. And all because you're struggling on offense. If they were averaging 50 points a game, would they be wearing free 4? That's food for thought. Think about that, Mr. Travis Swift. Yeah. Think about that. Now, for the Giants, the G-Men lost a 40-37 thriller in Big D this past Sunday. And Russell Wilson had a vintage game, a throwback game, if you will. The 36-year-old quarterback, and I do emphasize 36-year-old quarterback, had one of the best games, if not the best game of his career, completing 30 of 41 passes for a career-high 450 yards with 3 touchdowns. Malik Neighbor, he led the team with 9 receptions and 167 yards for 2 touchdowns. And Rondell Robinson, who usually is that little guy that goes over the middle and try to get rack yards and all that. Listen, he had a coming out party himself. Best game of his career since the heyday of Daniel Jones and that playoff run back in 2022. He caught 8 passes for 142 yards and a touchdown. Now, on this other side, if they have any chance in this game, they got to clean up the defense and they got to clean up their penalties. This team was called for 14 penalties for 160 yards. The defense, this vaunted defense, with Hall of Fame in the making, Abdul Carter, wanting to be 56 and wanting to be number 11. Tell you the truth, he's been strangely quiet these last 2 weeks, hasn't he? What about Thibodeau? He's been strangely quiet these last weeks, haven't he? Now, this vaunted defense allowed 40 points, 478 yards of total offense and cannot protect a 3-point lead in the final 25 seconds of regulation. Now, against the Washington Commanders in week 1, they gave up 432 yards of total offense. 220 yards rushing, meaning they was pounding down your throat. But they only gave up 21 points. So, with the information at hand, once again, pressure's big, pressure's on. Chiefs are favored by 5.5 at home. Now, I particularly like this game because guess what? This is Mike Steph's pick of the week. I am going to shock everyone, especially with the slander I just put on Big Blue, and pick Big Blue to cover, not win, to cover. Plus 5.5, Big Blue. 2 reasons. 1, Kansas City can't score. They just can't. And number 2, Kansas City has had problems in their secondary. And if Russell Wilson can continue what they discovered last game and actually go emphasize the deep ball, I think they could put points up on the board. Maybe not enough to win, but I think they can make this way closer than everybody thinks they are. Plus, Sunday night at home opener, Big Blue is going to be in effect. So, pick of the week, Giants plus 5.5, over.
That's a bold prediction right there. But when I look at it, it's pretty simple for me. I look at the talent of who the Chiefs lost against. They lost against the Chargers, and they lost against the Eagles. I think 2 of the better teams in the league. The Giants, on the other hand, got washed by Washington. Not surprising, one of the better teams in the league. And then they lost a close game, a big fight against the Cowboys, who defense was questionable when they had Micah Parsons. Without him, I'm not too surprised the teams are putting up big scores, even though maybe I'm a little surprised the Giants did. This is a battle of 0-2 teams, and I just cannot possibly see the Chiefs going 0-3 here. I definitely think the Chiefs are winning this game. I actually like them minus the 5.5. I also like them for Survivor because I don't know if you looked at the schedule, Mike Steph, but if they happen to lose this game against the Giants, they're playing Baltimore next week.
Oh, yeah.
KC better win this one, or they might end up 0-4. The only question here is, do I think it'll go over or under? You've actually convinced me to go over because I think Malik Neighbors will get behind them at some point, get his long touchdown, which will help the total go over 44.5 points.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
Now I'm going with the Giants. I swear, if these mother effers really mess my record up, it's going to be a problem. Continue.
So,
Free rush Chiefs for real.
Yeah. Or sign Ruggs or something. So All right. Anyway, I said it. I'm going to leave it like that. All right. Moving along.